I yield 4 minutes to the gentlewoman from Wyoming, Ms. Cheney.
Gentlelady is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Collins. And Madam Speaker, I rise today on the floor of
I want
this
to bring in a
magnificent
really interesting
chamber.
perspective here to what we're seeing play in front of us. And we'll come back to the floor of Congress in a few minutes. But first, let me try and bring in Joe Walsh. He's a former Republican congressman from Illinois, and he now a presidential candidate. He is running for president as a Republican against Donald Trump. And Joe, I know you're making your way throughout the presidential process, and I'm curious if you recognize the Republican Party that you joined versus some of the sound that we're hearing now. The Republican Party, at least the one that I remember, was a law and order party. And your reaction to your former party leadership, or current party leadership, if you will, but people that you served with that had a different standard then than have one now.
Richard, it's good to be with you. I do not at all recognize my former Republican colleagues. I just don't recognize them. Jim Jordan and I were buddies. I don't understand what he's saying. It saddens me. Look, I worked on that floor. I served in that body. It saddens me as a former Republican congressman that my former House Republican colleagues have decided to ignore the facts, ignore the truth, ignore the Constitution, all to bow in front of this president. It's a sad day for me. It really is. It's a sad day, I think, for the Republican Party.
See, I get it for people who are afraid to run in a primary next time, that they're afraid, they cross the president, they'll look at their Florida colleague who's going to retire after saying he just wanted to hear the facts before he decide. But how about the electorate? We showed poll after poll about people that are with the president no matter what, even after all the testimony that we heard. Explain to me why you think he still has such support here from the base. And there was a recent poll that said, pick the greatest Republican president, and they actually picked Trump over Abraham Lincoln. Make sense of that to me. You're on the ground there. You're talking to prospective voters. Why?
You know what? It's Trump is payback. Look, the people who voted for Trump voted for me. The people who voted for Trump have listened to me on the radio the last 5 or 6 years. And for a lot of them, Trump is payback against a system that they felt no longer listened to them. And that's okay. I get it, right? I get that our political system is broken. But because they view Trump as payback, they don't give a damn what Trump does. They don't care that Trump lies. They don't care that he steals. They don't care that he cheats. They don't care that he breaks the law. They don't care that Donald Trump is the worst swamp creature D.C. has ever had. He's their punch. He's their payback. I get it, but that's a shame. And it's wrong because no president is above the law. If Barack Obama did with Ukraine what Donald Trump did with Ukraine, every single Donald Trump supporter would be demanding that Barack Obama is impeached. That's just a plain fact.
Here's the other one that I can't figure, which is I get kind of the approach that your old colleague, Congressman Hurd, took, which is, listen, I'm not crazy about what he did on the phone call. I don't like it. But at the end of the day, I don't find it to be a high crime and a misdemeanor. Forget that I disagree with him, and you do too. But I had 2 members today. One guy who said, and I'll get the actual lawmaker, he was Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania. He compared today to D-Day, when the Japanese attacked us, as a day that will live in infamy, the president being held to account. And Barry Loudermilk, another Republican, this one from Georgia, he talked Pontius Pilate afforded more rights to Jesus than the Democrats gave to Trump. My God, he's quoting, Jesus now. To that end, the line, they're all saying he did nothing wrong. I would just think out of political CYA, you wouldn't go there. Why are they going to that degree?
And they're not telling the truth because, Richard, I can tell you with no uncertainty, the vast majority of my Republican House colleagues and in the Senate, they know what Trump did is wrong. They know it. They know and they believe what Will Hurd said, that it was wrong and maybe it doesn't rise to the level. But they can't even bring themselves to say that publicly. And again, I want to say it's not because they're afraid of Trump. They don't respect Trump. Most of those Republicans there, they're pissed off at Trump for putting them here. They think Trump's a moron. They know he made a mistake and he screwed up. They're afraid of Trump's voters, period. They want to get reelected, period. They want Trump gone, and they're hoping they can just outlast him.
And finally, I've said before that even if there is a vote next month in the Senate and the president at the end keeps his job, and even if the Republicans to a person all support him, the story doesn't end there. Is there a real possibility, whether it's the financial returns that come out here, Bolton comes public or whatever, that the president might not be the Republican nominee? I might be talking to the person, or maybe it's Pence or whatever else. There's a lot of people who I know who know the president who don't put it past him that he could resign before the next general election. Do you believe that that's a real possibility?
Yes, Richard, and I'll answer it like this. Look who's in the White House, Donald Trump. 4 or 5 years ago, nobody thought he'd be there. We live in crazy times. We have no idea what life politically will look like in a month or two. Here's what we know. Trump's a criminal. Trump's a crook. He got away with it with Russia, and the next day he was pressuring the Ukrainian president. If he gets, we know that he's got Rudy out there trying to get foreign dirt on Biden right now. If he gets away with this again, he'll continue what he's doing all the way to the 2020 election. We also know this about Trump. He's a bully and he's a coward. He doesn't want to lose. He'd rather resign than lose in 2020. We don't know what's going to happen, but this is what we do know. If Trump's at the top of our ticket in 2020, it will be a disaster for Republicans, because most Republican voters, Richard, no matter where they are on impeachment, they don't want 4 more years of the crazy Donald Trump show. They want to solve our problems, not more of this.
Former Congressman, now presidential hopeful, Joe Walsh. Joe, appreciate the time tonight. Thank you so much.
Good to be with you, my friend.